today, this podcast is super duper exciting for me because it is the relaunch after a 1-year hiatus from the Scalp Solutions podcast. And I'm so happy to be back. We're going to be bringing the scalp micropigment.
Let's try that again, shall we, buddy?
All right. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Scalp Solutions podcast. I am your host, David Santiago, and I am super excited for this episode because it is the relaunch after a 1-year hiatus of the Scalp Solutions podcast. And to bring back the show, who do I have? None other than the man himself, Damien Porter. Damien, what's going on, brother?
Hey, how are we doing, David? I'm real pleased to be on here, man. And congratulations on the relaunch of the podcast. That's so awesome. So awesome.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for coming on. It is an honor. I know you are, to some of us in the industry, the scalp guru. The scalp guru. Let's talk. Can we touch on that real quick? The scalp guru. How'd you get that name, the scalp guru?
Yeah, sure. So way back when, we actually started out as SMP Guru. We changed it later on. And I guess, I don't know. I mean, we've kind of broadened our scope of what we do. And I suppose as well, like Scalp Guru kind of depicts a person, whereas, you know, we're a team. You know, every member of my team is just as valuable as the next. So we wanted a name that kind of reflected that. So yeah, we changed to Team Micro, and yeah, we prefer that. It fits us a lot better.
Outstanding. So yeah, Team Micro is now, and I should have got to that first. Where are you from and the business that you currently now represent?
Sure. So we're based in the UK, but the majority of our clients are in the US. We also have a lot of clients in Canada, Australia, and of course in the UK as well. And yeah, we're increasingly servicing much of Europe as well.
Outstanding. So we're going to touch in a little bit about Team Micro and exactly everything that you guys offer and what you do. But before we go into that, I want to ask you, how do you come about scalp micropigmentation?
It's kind of a weird story. So I used to work in publishing. I used to work for one of the biggest newspapers here in the UK. And I got a call one day from this guy who said, "Hey, I've got this new procedure. Come check it out." So I turned up at this house in Birmingham, which is like the UK's second largest city. And we were talking for a while, just kind of, you know, just not really about anything specific. And I was just kind of sat there wondering, like, you know, what's this about? And he then told me that he'd had his hair tattooed back on, and we'd been sat chatting for about 15-20 minutes, and I hadn't noticed anything was off. I mean, bearing in mind, like, this was in the early days of SMP when things were, you know, the procedures were nowhere near as good as they are now. And I couldn't believe it. I was just blown away by it. Anyway, we ran a story, and I got a phone call probably about a week later, asking me to go back in to discuss a job opportunity. So the person I met was Ian Watson, who started his hair clinic. Once upon a time, they were like the biggest SMP clinic in the world. They wanted to bring me in as their marketing director, and I ended up staying there for 6 years. And that's kind of how I got involved in SMP. I think kind of at the time, there was a real kind of, the industry was trying to grow. There were more and more people that were sort of showing an interest and really wanted to get involved in SMP, but training courses didn't exist. Nobody wanted to talk about what was in the pigments, you know, what pigments were being used, what techniques. It was all kind of, it was kind of like the Wild West, you know, magic pigments and special needles and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't like the fact that the whole industry, an industry that I'd really kind of grown to love and I was really passionate about, I didn't like the fact that the industry was being held back by this lack of information. So I launched what later became Team Micro with the purposes of kind of sharing that information. And at the time, it was just us, and it was Stephen Greetzer and Taryn Quinteri actually were trying to do the same thing via Facebook group. That Facebook group is still around. And yeah, that's kind of sort of where we were sort of born from, was just a passion to kind of share information and cut through some of the bullshit that was circulating in the industry at the time.
Got you. And now I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. So this gentleman that brought scalp micropigmentation to your attention, was he trying to like pitch you? Was he trying to like, hey man, I have something, for you or something like that? Or was it just like a genuine, like, hey, this is a business opportunity?
Yeah, it was. So initially, it was he wanted a media story, and
Got it.
so that was kind of what it was about. But we just hit it off, and I think at the time, because his business was very very new. I mean, this was back in 2010. So his business was very new, and I think the fact that I was so passionate and so intrigued by what he was doing, I think that I think he just kind of felt some kind of connection with me and wanted me to be a part of that journey. And yeah, I jumped at the chance.
Got it. Awesome. So now, before Team Micro and before just scalp micropigmentation in general, what were you doing prior to that?
So I've always been in publishing. I was a sales director for one of the biggest magazine companies. I worked for a magazine called FHM, which some people might be familiar with. I did a lot of work with the Daily Mirror newspaper, which, as I mentioned, is the second largest newspaper in the UK. And I ran e-commerce businesses. So, I was deeply entrenched in web design, SEO, the logistical side of running an e-commerce business. It was, yeah, so I did a lot of different things. Yeah, just I had my finger in a lot of pies. I was kind of trying to discover kind of what I wanted out of life and my career. So I tried a lot of different things to see kind of what stuck with me.
Outstanding. And then, of course, that leads us into what we now know, Team Micro. Talk to us about Team Micro, Damien. Let us know what it is that Team Micro offers for our community, scalp micropigmentation. I know you also cover other vast industries. By all means, just touch on that, please.
Sure. Core to what we do is, we're an information resource for consumers. So we have the biggest site in the industry. teammicro.com gets about 3,000 visits a day, which is awesome. So first and foremost, we're an information portal, but we kind of developed from there. So we launched a conference, the Meeting of Minds, back in 2016. We had a way higher attendance than we expected, and that's kind of why that snowballed from there. And around that time, we launched an online store for supplies, SMP supplies. And we had where the business kind of really took off was we had a customer contact us and say, hey, I really love your website, could you build one for me? And we'd never really considered that before. And we did, and sort of from there we developed an SEO service, which we run SEO for close to 200 SMP clinics now around the world. I think we've built something in the region of 600 or 700 websites for SMP and permanent makeup artists.
Amazing.
So yeah, the website design and SEO side is now kind of like the main part of the business. So we have a team here of 14 people, designers, digital marketers, account managers, and administrators. So yeah, we've grown pretty quickly.
For the listeners that are new to the industry or just business in general, you say you guys work with SEO. Can you explain what SEO, what that is?
Sure. So SEO is the process of convincing Google that your website deserves a place on the first page of results for search terms that your customers are using. So if you imagine, let's say you want to rank top of Google for scalp micropigmentation, New York, right? There's billions of web pages online, and Google somehow has to sift through all of those pages to decide who deserves a space on that first page. So SEO, search engine optimization, is the process of doing the necessary to give Google the correct signals so that they say, hey, I like this site, we like this site, this site is relevant for that search. So it's a great investment in any business, because unlike ads, when you stop paying for ads, the traffic stops. Whereas with SEO, once you get there, generally you'll hold that position unless you're in a super competitive area. So yeah, that's SEO.
Got you. So now I'm a new guy in the industry. You know what? I'm a seasoned SMP clinic owner. Sometimes necessarily we don't really understand the steps to business, but where should I put my money first? Should I explore SEO or ads?
That's a tough question. I think it depends where your priorities lie. So SEO is the long game. So even if you paid our company $1 million a month, I can't get you top of Google overnight. It just doesn't work that way. So it's something that you have to do on a gradual basis, month by month. So with that in mind, if a new company is just starting out, I mean, let's say that as a new artist, you've got a sizable marketing budget and you're able to, you're not afraid to spend it, then the optimal way to do it is to start an SEO campaign and an ad campaign at the same time. And as the SEO really starts to take hold and you start getting organic traffic through SEO, you can start to cut that ad budget down. So you kind of end up with a reduced reliance over time on paid ads.
Got you. Okay. And I pose that because that's such a big debate. It's like, where am I going to put my money, on SEO or am I going to put it on ads? And so people don't realize it's a night and day when it comes to those two.
Yeah, I think the issue is that with SEO, there's no guaranteed results. Like even we consider ourselves to be extremely good at what we do. But even we can't guarantee results. Nobody can, so our job is to give Google what we know they want. And Google then responds to that, to that input. With ads, you can, just upload your credit card details, press a couple of buttons, and you can get traffic tomorrow. So, I think a lot of people default to ads, but the difficulty is that whether you're advertising on Google or Facebook, it's all behind the scenes. It's all based on an auction, right? So You're paying per click or per conversion or whatever. And that's only getting more and more expensive. Facebook is not producing the kind of results it used to. There's more competition. It's getting more expensive to get results. And Google Ads is kind of the same. I mean, so SEO really is kind of the way that's how we built our business. Those 3,000 visits a day we get, I mean, 90% of that plus is from SEO. I think you need to do a bit of both, but the aim of SEO is to reduce your reliance on ads over time, because you don't want an ad bill every month. I mean, it just gets crazy expensive. So SEO can release from that.
It hurts sometimes, especially when they take that big chunk, you get the receipt and then you're like, oh man, I only got 5 clients this month. Okay, great. So
Sure.
I now want some more visibility for my website and I want to explore SEO. Take me to the process if I want to conduct business with Team Micro.
Okay. First thing we need to do is figure out exactly what you need. I mean, what a brand new artist is going to need a very different approach than somebody like yourself, David, where you've been in the industry for a little while. There's a lot of different factors that kind of, that influence kind of what that journey looks like from, in terms of the work that we need to do. So first step is to get in contact with us. We'll carry out an assessment of what we feel is needed. Obviously, it's in both our interests to create something that is affordable, but also is going to produce the kind of results that you need. So it really is kind of on a one-on-one kind of basis, depending on what's required. From there, we kind of take over from that point. There might be some things that on the website need to change, so we might need some login details to make some edits. But most of the work goes on behind the scenes, and we'll give you a rank tracker so that you can monitor. There's no hiding behind rankings. Do you know what I mean? So that's why we give you that tracker for complete transparency. You get that tracker and then you can monitor it anytime. So you're not relying on like monthly reports or anything like that. And yeah, we just keep you updated. Generally speaking, we'll do a review every 3 months, see how things are going.
Outstanding. So every 3 months, once, and how is it? Is it a yearly premium, a monthly premium, quarterly premium?
Yeah, it's an ongoing arrangement, but it's a minimum term of 12 months. And for any kind of SEO campaign, that's really what you're looking at. But I mean, generally speaking, after the first 3 months, you'll start to see some improvements. But really kind of where the traffic spikes and where the number of calls and emails and bookings come in is when you hit that first page. So depending on where you are, I mean, if you run an S&P clinic, a brand new S&P clinic, and you're in Manhattan, it's going to take us longer to get you to where you want to be than what it would if you're in somewhere like West Palm Beach, right? So it does come down to competition. But generally speaking, you'll get some pretty good results within three, maybe 4 months. And then you'll see like a steady increase from there. But as soon as you hit the first page, that's where things start going a little bit crazy. And that's where it all comes to fruition. And we love it, because obviously we have clients who are like, when are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? And then one day we get a call and we're like, damn, what's going on? So yeah, it's an immensely satisfying job, but it just takes a little while to get to where you need to get to,
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that because I was going to ask, because I know, new business owners and the way that scalp micropigmentation is marketed is kind of like, hey, pay this for your fundamentals and you're now on your way to a six-figure salary. And,
Mhm.
practitioners, artists are like desperate. So they need to understand that this is something that you need patience for.
I think you and I have discussed this in private. I think there is so much to running a business beyond the procedure, and the difficulty is that artists, creative people, to get that combination between being super creative and super savvy in business is a tough call. And sometimes you're asking an artist to understand things that either they've not been exposed to before, or they're just not that interested in. I mean, honestly, the majority of our clients, whether it's website design or SEO, they don't care how all of it happens. They just want it to
Yeah.
happen.
I just wanted to.
So I think a lot of it is the way that training is sold in our industry. It's like, come in, do this course, and look how much money we're making. You can make the same. But it's like that iceberg analogy, isn't it? What you see above above the surface of the water is the glitz and the glamour and the nice cars and the watches and the money. It's all the stuff beneath the surface. It's the late nights. It's the risk factor, and risking it all to make something happen. And SMP is no different at all. There's so many different areas of the business that you've got to get good at, or bring in people that are good at that. If you, like, for example, I have no interest in tax at all. Don't want to talk about it. I just want to bill at the end of the year. So I hire an accountant to take care of that stuff. They're brilliant. They just do what's needed to do. And a lot of people approach SEO, web design, or whatever it might be, kind of in the same way. It's like, I don't want the recipe. I just want the dinner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could keep all that. Just give me the goods.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now on with Team Micro, right? We got the SEO. We can reach out to you for at Team Micro for SEO. You also do web design, and let me say, you do amazing web design over there at Team Micro.
Thank you.
What's the process with that now? Do you just take on any artists, or are you looking for someone who is already established in the industry or has the potential? How do you go about that?
Our clients are so varied. I mean, I got to say, we do have a definite passion for working with brand new artists, because that's at the point where they're so excited about their new venture, and they want the best out of it. And it's also the time where they're most needy of guidance and support. That's something we're pretty good at. So we do like working with new artists. But to be honest, a lot of the people we work with are second website clients, right? So these are people who, when they were starting out, they might have built their own website using Wix or Squarespace, and it's like, it's okay, and they've had a few clients in, the business is starting to go places, and they think, okay, I need to take care of this now. So a lot of those clients will come to us, when they want their website number 2, where they really kind of want to upgrade. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have some, some of these really well-established companies too. We've worked with Vinci, Scalp Aesthetics, his hair clinic, and a lot of the bigger kind of independent SMP artists and permanent makeup artists as well. So we work with everybody. I mean, in terms of the process, we try and make it easy. I mean, the problem is building a website is one of those things that it can take a fair bit of time, even on the client side, because obviously we need certain things from them. Right. So we need the photographs, and we need a little bit of creative input. But if a client can tell us kind of, look, I want something really clinical or really edgy or quite feminine or approachable, and maybe if they can show us a couple of sites that they like, we can kind of pick it up there and run with it. I mean, all we really need is the photographs, and we need feedback on our work. And generally speaking, you're talking, 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the client, I guess. Doesn't take long.
Got it. So now let me give you a scenario, right? I'm a new artist. I kicked off my clinic and I wanted to do everything on my own because I am a true entrepreneur, and I am now realizing, holy shit, I need to start delegating. And the first thing I want to do is my website. But on my own, I got a, let's say a Squarespace or Wix website. And, now I'm picking up Maybe I got about 10 clients a month and I'm ready to take it to the next level. Can you help me?
Sure. So you speak with one of our account managers, Dale and Harris here, great guys. Their job is to figure out what's needed. Get the deal done. We've got monthly plans available as well, which is making it real easy. I mean, I think probably about half our clients pay for their websites monthly. It just kind of takes that initial, especially if they're just starting out, or if cash flow is a little bit tight. Obviously, we've had difficult times with COVID and lockdowns and so on and so forth. Once that deal is done, we arrange a Zoom call with our design manager. That the purpose of that Zoom call is really to understand kind of what vision what vision our client has. And if they don't have a vision at all, have no clue what they want, that's cool too. It's really kind of, and that does happen. That happens a lot.
I was going to ask, like, how often does that happen?
All the time. I think a lot of our clients just kind of say, look, I want a nice looking website, just make it happen for me, please, and that's sometimes that is literally all we get.
I'm that guy.
Yeah. So once once we've established that, we'll go away and build a design concept, which is basically a homepage. So just the homepage, nothing else. And the purpose of that is we want to come back to you and say, look, are we along the right lines here? Or is there anything that you want to change? And we kind of go through that process. Usually we hit the nail on the head first time, but quite often there's some things that need to be tweaked. So then once we've got that approval, we'll then go away and build the rest of the site. It's worth mentioning a couple of things. So we have a full-time writer here who is very, very familiar with all aspects of SMP and permanent makeup. So writing the content for a site is a real pain in the ass, so we take care of that stuff. And the other side of it is we do some kind of an initial basic SEO setup with every website, whether you buy an SEO service or not. So we take care of all of those things, and then once the client is happy with the website, when all of the snag list has been taken care of, any bits and pieces are taken care of, we can then go live. And it's a pretty simple process. I think because we're so heavy into this one market, we've got our process down to a fine art. So we try and kind of eliminate as much aggravation for the artists as possible, because we know they're busy.
Got it. And what's like a standard turnaround time for you guys to develop the website and get it going live?
Okay, design concept, we give you a guarantee of 2 weeks. As long as we get the things that we need from the client, there's a 2-week kind of deadline on our self-imposed deadline for that design concept. After that, you're looking at, the very, very fastest we can turn a website around is about 4 weeks. Sometimes it's 6 weeks is what we aim for as a maximum. Sometimes it'll overstretch that, and it's not usually anything on our side. It's usually just that it's the acceptance that our clients are busy, and if we're asking them for feedback, and some of them want, some of our clients want to give like really detailed feedback, and it'll take them a while to come back to us with that. So it can take sort of up to 8 weeks, but 4 to 6 weeks is typically the timescale that we aim for.
Got it. And now, this next question, I ask you with the keeping in mind the new artist who's ignorant to the process, website and everything like that. But I have a Wix website. Your design team, are you guys going into my Wix profile and redesigning it to my liking, or are you putting this on a totally different platform server?
Whether you're doing SEO with us or not, we want you to get the very best result. And WordPress is quite simply by far the best platform for SEO. So we build every single one of our sites in SEO, and the other reason in WordPress, sorry, and the other reason for that is because Wix and Squarespace can be a little bit restrictive, and sometimes when a client wants a particular thing to happen on the site, Wix, Squarespace, and so on, GoDaddy won't allow that to happen. It's just not flexible enough, So those platforms are not aimed at professional designers. They're aimed at people that want to build their own sites. So everything is done in WordPress. With that in mind, WordPress is quite unfamiliar to some people. When the website is done and it's live, we have a couple of options. So most of our clients will pay a small monthly retainer. Typically around $80 a month. It's not a huge amount of money, but what that does is that retains a communication channel between the client and our design team. So anything they need on an ongoing basis, or want to make updates and changes, they just drop us an email, and within 2 days it's done. Alternatively, we're quite happy to talk our clients through kind of how to log into the site, how to make those changes themselves if they want to self-manage it. And often they actually want both. They want us to handle things, but they kind of also want that direct access because it's their website. You know, they want to be able to get in there and do things they need to do at a drop of a hat.
Got it. So now what happens if David's your client and I want to gain a little bit of access, but I now ruined the website?
Good question. So we have a 5-day backup. So if the website is hosted on our server, which we thoroughly recommend for exactly this reason, every single day there's a backup taken automatically of your site. So we can roll back up to 5 days. So if you go in and absolutely destroy your site, as long as you let us know within those 5 days, we can roll back any changes you've made and go back to the original unscrewed up website.
And you know, I bring that question up because I am a perfect example of that. And for you guys listening out there, this is something you need to ask whoever you go with to be your web developer. Clearly, you're going to go with Team Micro because you hear these guys got their stuff on point. But I was a victim of that myself. And then I had a buddy of mine who was like, yeah, I know how to mess with this. We destroyed my first website. And when we called them up, I mean, within hours, they were like, you know, there's nothing that they could do. Like they were unable to, they didn't have like a system intact where they can go back and bring it back to how I originally received it when I started editing. And I was just like, are you kidding me? He was like, yeah, you know, it's probably going to cost another $1,300 to $1,600, you know, to get me back to where I was, you know, New York, you know, that's what they do over here in New York. You know, they get you good. So they got me really good for that one. All right.
It's a really tough balance because in an ideal world, I mean, I'll be honest, I would rather our clients didn't have access to the websites at all because we can handle that stuff. And, you know, we don't expect our clients to be professional web developers. And if something breaks, they're not necessarily going to know how to fix it. We do give them access purely and simply because it belongs to them. It's their website. So if they want access, then of course we're going to give them access. You know, and in some cases, if they prefer, well, actually, we won't host the website on our server at all. It'll be hosted on their own hosting plan. So it is that fine balance between, you know, giving them what is rightfully theirs because it's their website, they've paid for it, and they have every right to have access to it. But also kind of saying, look, just be a little bit careful, and if you run into trouble, let us know as quickly as you can so that we can put it right.
Outstanding. And now you also have, aside from these services that you offer, you also have a program for SMP practitioners. I don't know. I'll let you elaborate on it. If it's exclusively for new practitioners, or if it's for also for seasoned practitioners, and that's your you have the SMP Insiders. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so the SMP Insiders program is primarily aimed at newer artists, so anyone who's got 3 years experience or less. And the
I'm sorry,
purpose
can you
of
say
it,
that one more time, Damien? What's considered a new artist?
anyone with 3 years experience or less.
Okay.
And the reason for the 3-year mark is because we find that after that 3-year period of time, generally speaking, artists are good to go. You know, they've learned the lessons they've had to learn. They've got their business on point. They've got a regular flow of clients coming in. You know, they've got enough experience to be able to fix any issues that come up with, you know, from a procedural point of view. You know, so up until that 3-year point, and by the way, that's well over half our industry. There's you know, that's the time where there's this gap, you see, between, and it kind of comes back to the conversation that we had earlier about training. There's this really big kind of void between kind of when somebody completes their training and when they really kind of get up to speed, because and during that period of time there's very little support available. And you know, Facebook groups are great, but there's a limit to kind of what you can take from those and how useful they can be. Trainers do offer increasingly, you know, more support after training, but just not for that period of time. And I think that, you know, that kind of support tends to focus on the technique stuff, not so much on the business development. And the biggest risk to any new SMP artist, in my view, is that they learn how to do SMP, but then they don't build up early momentum. So they don't get into that routine, you know, they don't build up that muscle memory, and they don't get to the point where, you know, kind of just habitually, you know, the client comes in, they do the consultation, you know, do the forms, set up their workstation, draw out the hairlines and stuff. It's like you can probably do it now, David, with your eyes closed. You just get into that habit. But during that period of time with a new artist, they're generally really nervous going through that because they're not in that routine, and their technique doesn't really develop in the way that it could do because they're not getting that early momentum. So we find that a lot of people end up doing multiple training courses. Not that that's a bad thing anyway, but more because they've forgotten what they learned on their training. So the purpose of SMP Insiders is twofold. The first thing is that they have support from, our members have support from a group of trainers from around the world who give them support from a technique point of view. And and from Team Micro, we give them business support with the aim of getting them into a place where they're built up that early momentum as quickly as possible. Basically, it's there to give them the best possible start to their careers. And there's a number of things that they get with that. They get heavy discounts off of our marketing services if they choose. They don't have to buy those services as a member, but they get access to them at a great price if they do. They also get 25% off of the things that they're going to buy all the time, needles, pigments, machines, that type of thing. And they get discounts from conference tickets. But I think the real big thing is every week there's a Zoom call with a trainer or with a team here at Team Micro. And that's there to give them support, give them the opportunity to ask questions. And the feedback from those calls has been phenomenal. It's been fantastic. And I feel like we're filling that void, which makes us feel great, because if the industry is going to become stronger, if new artists are going to get off to the best possible start, if we're going to see less mistakes and less people dropping out of the industry because they're not getting the customers through, this program is going to go a long way to helping that become a reality.
Yeah, for sure, man. Where were you guys 4.5 years ago when nobody wanted to answer any questions? It was like, what? You want to know what? No way, buddy. So now how does it work? Is it a monthly subscription? Are you comfortable with discussing the fees, pricing for the SMP Insiders? Can you let the listeners know?
Of course. So there's a minimum term of 6 months, and that's more because we want people on the program who are committed to the process. After that 6 months, people can stop if they want, but I don't think they will. I mean, the feedback we're getting, I think these guys are going to stay in this group for quite a long time. The cost is $300 a month or 200 British pounds a month. If you look at kind of the discounts just on products, I mean, you're gonna get back half of that fee just in discounts off of pigments, needles, and so on. So we've tried to make it as accessible as possible, because new artists have got to watch what they're spending, of course, but we also acknowledge that this program is really good for them. So we don't want a situation where people are not on the program because, even though they want to be, because they can't afford it. So we've tried to keep the costs as low as we possibly can.
Got it. Awesome. And for them to get access or more information on the SMP Insiders, that's also on your Team Micro website, correct?
Sure. They just need to go to teammicro.com/insiders. On there, there's a button. They can use that button, just tap the button, and they can book a call with Harris, who manages the program. And then we bring them into, we have a Telegram group. For those who are not familiar with Telegram, it's a bit like WhatsApp. And that's a private group just for members, and we use that group for all of us, for all our members to communicate. I mean, there's always like a ton of communication in there, people asking questions, and I've got a problem with this, or I need help with that, so all of that kind of goes on too. But that Telegram group kind of is the center point, and from there we give people access to the weekly Zoom calls and all of the discounts and everything else that comes with it.
Outstanding. And you mentioned that, there's some perks to the SMP Insiders, whether it be discounts on marketing or discounts on products. I want to touch on that products. You also have a e-commerce shop where you sell a variety of accessories, aftercare, pigment. Can we elaborate? Can we touch on that?
Sure. So, I mean, the main products we supply are needles and pigments. So we supply roughly 7 out of 10 clinics, SMP clinics in the English-speaking world, which is great. So we have distribution in the States and the UK, and we ship all over the world. I mean, today, our online store manager is not in today, so I've been packing the orders, and today we've sent goods to the Philippines, South Korea, the Caribbean, and obviously the States, the UK, Europe, everywhere. So we supply a lot of clinics. The main kind of reason why people buy from us is because it's the only store that you can get everything in one place. So we have all the leading brands of pigment like Alivio and Icon and 5PM and Follicule, the new Follicule Brown, Permablend, Ghost, all of that stuff. And it's the only place you can get all of that in one store. Needle brands are big. You know, we sell a lot of needles, FYT, Bishop, Icon, 5PM, and so on. Increasingly, people are buying aftercare products. So we stock the entire membrane range, which is fantastic range for both permanent makeup and SMP. The Golden Eye range, which is a brilliant range of products. And we sell a whole load of other things as well, machines, needles, you know, so your typical Bishop wand and your Apollos and your Axis Valhallas and all that kind of stuff.
We're gonna have to send you a Scalp Solutions package out there. We're gonna have to send you a box of some Scalp Solution aftercare stuff. I was like, let me
Sounds
get
good. Let's
this
do
plug
it.
there. You also recently correct me if I'm wrong. You recently announced something in regards to drop shipping. Now, was that a question you put out to the industry, if that was something that they would be interested in, or is this something that you're set and or like you're going with it?
Okay. Do you want the honest answer? So I guess I mean, yeah, we supply a lot of clinics, as I mentioned before, and I suppose kind of up until this point, we've resisted sort of any. Yeah, we've had people come to us and say, "Hey, can we buy your products and resell them?" And we've always said no, just purely because, I mean, honestly, you know, we already supply most of the industry, so we haven't really kind of seen a need to kind of complicate things in that way. But I think kind of what we're seeing now is that actually, you know, as the SMP industry is growing, it's growing into territories that you know, it's difficult for us to service because we don't speak the language, you know, and we want all our customers to have a great experience. So, and also as well, you know, we kind of want to share the, we want to share the opportunity, because if there are passionate artists out there who, you know, who want to sell product, if there are training schools that want to supply their students, you know, we don't want to keep that for ourselves. And also as well, to be fair, all of the marketing responsibility for those products falls on our shoulders and our shoulders alone. And I kind of want to spread that around a little bit. So it's a way of kind of helping us grow the online store, but at the same time, sort of sharing the opportunity with the industry, you know. So there's three options. The first option is drop shipping, which is quite simply, you know, you tell us that you want us to send a certain product to a certain customer, and we cut you in on the deal. The second option is traditional wholesale. So you can buy our products in bulk, you get a bigger discount for doing it that way, and then you resell those products. And the third option, which we're really excited about, and we've had a lot of interest in, is the brand licensing opportunity. So let's say that you run an SMP training school in Mexico, right? So we can't really service the Mexican market very easily because we don't speak Spanish. So what that opportunity is that we will create.
Come get me, man. Come get me, brother. I'm right here.
All right, I'm on the next flight, buddy. I'm on the next flight. So we would set up, you know, teammicro.com.mx, which would be a Mexican store, all in Spanish, obviously. Prices, you know, prices in local currency, and you would effectively become Team Micro Mexico, right? So any orders that come from Mexico, we won't take orders from Mexican customers directly anymore. All of that will come straight to you. We supply you on a wholesale basis, but it's that brand alignment where you're effectively representing us, which gives you a much bigger opportunity because we've got existing customers, we've got all the goodwill and reputation of the brand, and we've got all the products as well. So that's really exciting. And yeah, you're going to see very, very soon Team Micro stores opening in South Africa, in Sweden, in Italy, and apparently David in Mexico too. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, I'm gonna have to touch down there and make sure that their Spanish is on point. I want to make sure they're not keeping you from any bad orders or anything. All right, I'm gonna go check them out. Damien, you have you know, you have built an amazing platform with Team Micro, and it is providing such an immense amount of value, you know, to all of our artists. But you don't stop there. You also have the meeting of the minds, where now you get artists from all over the world together under one roof, awards, networking, all that good stuff. Talk to me about the meeting of the minds. I know we got one that's coming up soon, but how do you come up with that? What was that tick that you say, you know what? I think, the industry needs something like this.
Sure. It kind of happened by accident, you know? So, I mean, bearing in mind, this was at a time, as I alluded earlier, this was at a time where information sharing was really sparse, it wasn't happening. And, the Facebook groups, which now kind of make up the basis of all of the kind of collaboration and communication among artists, those groups weren't really there. There were a couple of groups. We had one, and Stephen Greetzer and Taryn Quinteri had another, but there wasn't really much out there. And, we really wanted to bring people together. And it was initially going to be a UK meeting. It wasn't going to be a conference. It was just a meeting. That's
like
why
a mastermind meeting?
Yeah, you're sorry?
Something like a mastermind meeting, just all get together and everyone just got it.
Yeah, we were going to meet in a hotel, book out a room, sort of thrash through some kind of collaborative stuff, and then go out in the evening and get very, very drunk. That was the plan, right? So,
great plan.
Absolutely. So we booked a room which was big enough for the 30 people that we thought were going to come, and we sold tickets, which was just to cover off the cost of running the event and the dinner and everything else. Right? It was never a profit-making exercise, and it still isn't. That's not why we do it. So So anyway, we put the ticket sale offer out there, and people from all over the world started booking these tickets. And we were like, what do we do? We booked a room for 30 people, and we ended up with 80 people who flew in. From two-thirds of those people caught a flight to the UK to come to the event from overseas.
That's outstanding.
And I mean, what really kind of made me realize we were onto something was the distance. We had a lot of people from the West Coast of the States, Canadians, a lot of Canadians came over, and the Australians, the Australian S&P industry really kind of responded well to the event. In fact, our first ever speaker was, at our first ever event, was Caitlin James from S&P Australia. She came all the way from Adelaide. So that's kind of where it started. And I remember there was one person at the event who turned around, and I won't embarrass him by naming him, but he turned around to me at one of the breaks and said, "Damien, you do not realize what you have done here." And I went home after that, the following day after the event, and I just thought, yeah, what have we done? And it gave me the biggest sense of satisfaction that I've ever felt in business. It was just, it meant so much more than just it just being an event, just a meeting. So we decided to run the event the following year. So the first year was in Leeds, city of Leeds. The second year we did it in Manchester, UK. And we had, I think, 99 people attend. And then the following year we did London, where we had 129. And the London event was on a whole different level. We had a much bigger team of people there, the staging and lighting, and it was so cool. And obviously COVID has kind of put a dampener on things to a certain extent the last couple of years. But we're back next year. June 12th, 13th, we're in Edinburgh in Scotland, capital city of Scotland. Beautiful city.
Amazing.
Yeah, and we're just looking, to be honest, we are looking forward to the event itself, but we're really looking forward just to seeing everyone again, getting everyone back together in one space. And I think I'm talking a lot. You can probably tell I'm really passionate about the event.
Oh, this is let me know.
I mean, honestly, the thing that I love most about the Meeting of Minds, and like every year we have people say, I don't know anyone, I'm nervous about attending. And within an hour, they feel like they're at home, they're made to feel so welcome. And it's gotten to a point now where when everyone turns up for the event, it's not like a regular conference. It's pretty unique. When everyone meets, when everyone's getting off their flights and turning up at the venue, it's like an airport arrivals hall. The people are hugging and crying, and they're so happy to see each other, and it means a lot. The fact that we have those kinds of relationships in SMP it's so valuable, and I think it's part of what makes our industry special.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I experienced that myself for the first time with, the last event that I attended and hosted was the expo, the SMP. It's my first time like actually in a room with nothing but artists. So I totally understand where you come from. It's like, oh, hey, it's you from Facebook. You the guy that's been trolling me for a whole year. Come here, give me a hug. It was awesome, man.
Yeah, that event looked really good. I mean, there's the US needs a really good SMP event, and I mean, it's always tough, especially on your first event. It's always hard. There's so many things you just don't think of, But I think Jeff and the guys did a really good job, and I know that Matt Ayulo has his event coming up,
Yeah.
which will be really cool. I know Matt really well, known him for a long time, and I know that he'll either, Matt is a go big or go home kind of guy, so he's gonna do a really good job at that event too.
He's got a great
Um,
location, Vegas.
yeah,
And they
absolutely,
say,
absolutely.
and they say, what happens in Vegas
Stays in Vegas,
stays
huh?
in Vegas.
Have you ever been on a night out with Matt? That's going to be an interesting
Oh,
experience.
I have not. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him. I mean, I've interviewed him, but I haven't met him like in person.
I just hope you come back alive, buddy. That's all I
I
can
was
say.
That's great. One day, maybe in Vegas when I head out there, we'll have a cold one together.
Sure.
So let's touch back on the this next meeting of the minds that you got coming on. What would we expect if you're attending?
So, okay. So every year we want to be doing something a little bit different. Okay. And, I mean, we're not, I guess it's just in my nature that I don't want to, I don't want to kind of just keep doing the same thing because that breeds complacency. So each year we try and offer a different kind of experience. Next year's meeting of minds is going to be all about business development. So there's going to be less content around technique and around kind of the history of the industry. I know previous events have kind of focused a lot on sort of where we've come from. I really want to look forward. I think we've had a really tough time. All of us have, with the whole COVID lockdown thing. It's affected all of us in different ways. And I think that the number one thing that I want to focus on is looking forward with positivity and enthusiasm. So the
Absolutely.
the event is going to be all around two things. The first thing is about how you can build a stronger SMP business. So real practical stuff that you can take. It's great coming to an event and listening to speakers, but what you really want are practical tools that you can take back to your business and that are really going to make an impact. So next year the speakers are going to be very different. So it's not going to be so SMP artist heavy. We are still going to have some SMP artists speaking at the event, of course, but you're going to see a lot of people that come from a marketing background, people that you might not have seen before, experts in Facebook marketing, Instagram marketing, Google ads, branding, business development,
Copyright,
franchising, all of that. Copyright, absolutely.
trademarks, LLCs.
Okay, you got your ticket booked already, huh? So yeah, so basically we're going to be doing a lot of that kind of stuff, a
Awesome.
lot of that kind of stuff, and it's going to be awesome from the point of view of, I think, when an artist can implement something in their business and they see a benefit for it, it makes them feel good. It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
I had
game
this
changer.
problem, I'm doing something differently now, and the net result has been X. And that just it really puts you in the driving seat. And we want to help artists kind of get to that point. The second purpose of the event is to take all of the new artists who have joined our industry in the last 3 years, and we want to extend an open arms greeting to these people and welcome them into the fold. And you know, a lot of these artists, because of COVID, haven't been able to meet up with anybody, so there may be not quite as much of maybe they don't feel as connected to the industry as some of the OGs do. So we want to really kind of welcome them in and introduce them to people and help them develop, support circles, and and people who can act as mentors and kind of really get them off on the right start.
Yeah, that's great. Now, do you have the tickets available now for that? And just tap it in with the whole how you said like it's going to be really focused on business development, which is something that so many of us like we just lack that information because we think it's just okay. I open a business LLC, I'm ready to rock and roll, and there's just so much behind. And I feel like every time we talk about like the business part of the business, so to have that information available is going to be invaluable.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I said before, there's so much more to running a business than the technique itself. I mean, tickets are available. Just go to meetingofminds.com. There's currently the option to pay monthly if you want to divide that cost up. But yeah, I don't want to just run an event and have people turn up. Like I said, the conference is not and has never been a profit making exercise for us. You know, I mean, we probably lose money when you take into account the amount of time it takes us to put the show together. It's more about doing something good for the industry. It makes us feel good, and honestly, it's the best part of our year. So, from a selfish point of view, we do it because we enjoy it. You know, so we really do genuinely want every person who attends to get value from the event that they can take back to their clinic. I mean, we're super passionate about that. So I think that's what kind of sets us apart. We don't rely on the event for an income or profit. We don't try and make money out of it. It's there for you, the attendee, the person who's turning up. So I think you'll find we kind of tend to go the extra mile with a lot of things. So we spend money on things that maybe other events don't, just to make the experience that little bit more special. We acknowledge that most people who attend fly in, so we always make sure that it's a good venue that they're going to enjoy staying in, which is why we're doing Edinburgh. You know, a lot of people who come, especially from the US, you know, have said in the past, why don't we do a Scottish event? Because our American attendees have such an interest in Scottish history. So we've been wanting to do that for a long time. But also from Scotland, you can get anywhere in Europe for about $50-$60 on a very, very short flight. So a lot of our attendees in the past have flown on to places like Milan and Madrid, Amsterdam, Prague, all of these places, because it's so easy to get to from the UK, you know. So we want to make it a well-rounded experience rather than just, you know, come in and listen to some people talk.
And get a little drunk.
Sure. Absolutely.
That's awesome. So guys, again, if you guys want to purchase some tickets to the next Meeting of the Mind, you can log on to, is it on your Team Micro?
Meetingofminds.com.
Meetingofminds.com. All right. So I want to ask you some S&P specific questions now. All right.
Okay.
I promise to be nice. All right. I won't put you on the spot, brother. All right. If there was one thing that you can change about the S&P industry, what would that be?
I would change the reason that people get into the industry in the first place. So I think that, I mean, look, I'm in business. I'm all about making money, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing to be ashamed of at all about wanting to make money. But there's 1,000 different ways that you can make money, you know. When you come into the S&P industry, you know, first and foremost, it's about making people's lives just that little bit better. And in order to do that, you have to have a real dedication to your craft. And I think a lot of people kind of take the view of, and I don't think it's necessarily the artist's fault. I think it's a combination of a lot of things, the way that training is sold, for example, and maybe some skewed expectations. But I think what I would change it would be to have people coming in with a view of serve the customer first, make money second. Because the reality is that in any business, no matter what business you're in, if you provide value and solutions to people's problems, the money is a
No
byproduct.
problem.
Just a byproduct.
Got it. Passion. Got to have some passion.
Absolutely.
Good answer. If not that there's a wrong answer, but that was a good answer. All right. If you could sit down and have a beer with one artist, who would it be and why?
Oh man, I've already sat down with quite a few artists.
I know so many of them, but there's got to be one. There's got to be one that you treasure that moment more than the other.
Oh man, that's
Hot seat question.
That's a real tough one. This is not going to be the answer that you're going to expect, but
okay.
I had a telephone conversation with an artist called Tobias Romero a few days ago, and you know, he's somebody who kind of I wouldn't say he keeps himself to himself, but he's someone who kind of he's not too loud on social media, you know, and the passion that comes across with him is just crazy, you know. And I think that kind of as your business develops, you know, as Team Micro has developed, you know, I think you kind of, you know, you get so wrapped up in the day-to-day kind of running of a business that you know, for me, Tobias Romero kind of reflects the roots of kind of what S&P is all about. You know, he is somebody who is so ridiculously passionate about what he does, and all he wants to do above all other things is serve. You know, and I would love to have a beer with him, because I love it when I can reconnect with that raw grassroots kind of, you know, sort of passion for the art, passion for the client, and, you know, just a reminder as to why we're all here.
Okay, outstanding. I'll still have a beer with you though. Okay, don't worry.
Oh, David, I'm sorry.
I'm
I'll have a
just-
beer with you. Come and join us.
I as I put the questions together, I'm like, man, this is the perfect opportunity to like just put, make a little discomfort. Like, come on, man, you didn't say me. Like, what the fuck? Oh no, I get it. Trust. All right, where do you see the industry in 5 years, or where would you like to see the industry in 5 years?
Well, those are two very different questions.
You are absolutely correct. Let me rephrase that. Where do you see the industry in 5 years?
Okay, I think SMP is going to become much more available. I think we're going to see a continuation of what we've seen over the past 5 years. You know, so I think SMP is going to be available from multiple outlets, even in the smallest cities. You know, so there is going to become a much greater level of choice, and you know that's going to have positive and negative consequences. You know, so there's going to be a lot more competition. I think it's going to put downward pressure on pricing, but it's also going to raise awareness of SMP in a big way. And you know, I even, you know, for the last kind of, I mean, I've been in SMP for what, just 12 years, and in all of that time, there's always been this kind of discussion around kind of, oh, we've gone mainstream now. You know, we, we haven't even started to go
Oh,
mainstream. You
hey,
know, this is
touch.
embryonic, right? So I think we are going to see SMP clinics all over the place, and I think a lot of artists are going to feel threatened by that. I don't think it makes any difference whether you feel threatened by it or not. I think it's going to happen regardless.
Right.
So I think the artists who are kind of looking forward with enthusiasm and positivity are the ones that are going to have the best time, because if that's the way the industry's going, would you rather fight that or would you rather adapt to it? You know, so I think that we're going to be talking about a different model where, because there'll be downward pressure on pricing, but there'll also be a lot more demand. I think you're going to see a lot more clinics with multiple artists. I think it's going to become more of a volume game, and the clinics that make the most money long term and are the most successful are going to be the ones who can manage that increase in volume without sacrificing the level of quality. If they can master that balance, which isn't easy, by the way, but if they can master that balance, they're the ones that are going to be really successful.
All right. I agree. I, I'm just gonna let you answer that one. This is not about me. This is about highlighting you. All right. What's one piece of advice you'd give to someone who's just starting out in the industry, in the scalp micropigmentation industry?
Give it time. Give it time. So, you know, your number one priority as a new artist is to build your portfolio, right? That's no secret. So, you know, we can do we can make magic with the marketing that we can do for you. But if you don't have a decent portfolio, you're still going to struggle. Simple as that, right? So that takes time. It's kind of like a snowball effect, isn't it? Chicken and egg, whatever analogy you want to use. You know, but you need that portfolio in place. So, you know, if you have to offer you know, sort of offer, you know, to friends and family and so on, just to get that portfolio in place, do it. But it's easy during that first year or two to get disheartened, because you came into the SMP industry with a viewpoint of, I'm going to make a ton of money and I'm going to be really successful, and I can see what all these other artists are doing, and you know, I can see how successful they are. You know, what you got to remember is, again, the iceberg analogy. What you don't see is the 95% of their life that they do not put on social media. Okay, you don't see the late nights, you don't see the stress, and they putting their house on the line and borrowing from friends and family, and you don't see any of that. So, you know, keep going, don't get disheartened. Um, and then if I may give a second piece of advice,
Oh, absolutely.
and that is to stay humble. You know, we provide a service, and the customer is in charge. The customer is always in charge. Okay, you know, they're the ones that pay our bills, they're the ones who are serving. And so yeah, so just stay humble and keep your feet well grounded.
Outstanding. Great advice, Damien. Thank you. What's one question you wish I'd asked you, and how would you have answered? That is a
You
two-parter. What's one question you wish I would have asked you, and how would you have answered it?
Oh man, you promised me you were not going to put me on the spot. Um, oh gosh, okay. I suppose, I suppose the question that you could have asked, which I would have quite enjoyed answering, would have been kind of what would the kind of the milestones, the turning points that have helped shape the industry to where we are so far. I think that question would have been like a really interesting one.
Okay.
And
How
how I
would
would
you have answered it?
yeah, how I would have answered it. I think the single biggest thing that has impacted our industry was when the industry fragmented. So way back when, there was a handful of large companies that basically dominated SMP. You know, you had his hair clinic, you had Vinci Hair Clinic, Scalp Aesthetics, Good Looking. You know, they were the ones who were kind of dominating SMP. And you know, I mean, some things have changed, some haven't. You know, I mean, Good Looking is still going real strong. They're doing great. You know, the others, you know, not so much. And I think when the industry fragmented, it was basically the process of those artists who worked for those companies leaving and setting up on their own. And what that did was that spread the knowledge of SMP worldwide. You know, all of a sudden they could offer their own training programs. They could share more honestly than they've ever been able to in the past, you know, about how they carry out SMP, you know, what products they're using to perform those procedures. And the industry just kind of spread out from there. You know, so we went from 4 providers to 1,000 very quickly when that process started. And I think that's kind of one of the big things that's kind of helped form our industry into kind of what it is today. I think the second thing, sorry, I promised one, but the second thing is the permanent makeup industry adopted SMP in a big way, and they brought with them knowledge of color theory, lots of years of experience of piercing skin, which the SMP industry didn't have, and all the methodologies that they'd built up in the permanent makeup world, they brought with them to SMP. So, and it was rocky at first, you know, it was. I mean, there was a time where a lot of permanent makeup artists were experimenting, and the training wasn't widely available. They were doing the best, and you know, it didn't always go to plan. But the permanent makeup world almost merging or kind of embracing the SMP world was a real turning point for our industry as well. And you know, I mean, right now, I mean, think about it. In 12 years, we've gone from one provider, which was his hair clinic, to kind of the big 4 or 5 providers, you know, sort of within a really short space time after that, to now we have something in the region of 4,500 clinics worldwide, you
Jeez,
know, and
Damien.
it's only been 12 years. That's not very long,
Yeah.
you know.
No, not at all. I know to some people, they hear that it's like, oh, there's 4,000 clinics. The industry is saturated, and I'm like, where are you getting? Like, what numbers are you comparing this with? Like, numbers wise, infancy stage, scalp
Absolutely.
micropigmentation. I personally think so. Would you agree?
Yeah. So there are 32,000, more or less, 32,000 permanent makeup artists in the US alone. So when you put it into context, yeah, and bearing in mind that a permanent makeup artist is charging less for their procedures than an SMP artist is. So no, we're just getting started. And the hair transplant industry, which has a natural affinity with SMP, is very well established, and is worth hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And then I mean, I think where SMP really has the greatest potential is that 90% of people who are losing their hair who are not bothered enough to get a hair transplant. They don't want to take pills, they don't want to use lotions. They choose SMP because it's easy and it's guaranteed and it's
Guaranteed.
permanent. So they're not bothered enough to really take any kind of drastic action, but SMP is so accessible. So I actually think that SMP has a far broader appeal than hair transplants do. So there will be a time where we go mainstream, but right now we are scratching the surface. We're barely even born, buddy, barely even born.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Damien, before we wrap it up, where can our listeners find you online? How can they connect with you? Give us all the information, please.
Just jump over onto teammicro.com. You can connect with us there. We have we run the biggest S&P Facebook group called Team Micro International. So hunt us down there. And we're on Instagram and so on and so forth. But you can literally just call the office, teammicro.com, just give us a call. Anything you need help with, whether it's a service we offer or whether you just need some advice, just that's what we're here for. Give us a call.
Outstanding. Damien, once again, my brother, thank you for jumping on the podcast and dropping some gems, my brother. I appreciate you. I know you're a very busy man.
No problem. I really appreciate the opportunity to come onto the podcast. And I've got to say, the industry needs this. I was so disappointed when I found out the podcast wasn't happening. And now now we're back and you're going to do great things with this. And I mean, look, you're trying to achieve what we're trying to achieve. We're spreading knowledge, we're spreading information. So all power to you, and I hope it goes well. I'm sure it will.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. I'm just following your lead, brother.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Scalp Solutions podcast. Until the next time, peace.
Hi, I'm Damien. I run Team Micro. We're the world's leading design and marketing agency for the S&P and permanent makeup industries. We set up in 2009 as a one-person operation. We now have a team of 17 people. Within this team, we have the leading marketing experts for our industry, covering all aspects of digital marketing. And we only specialise in permanent makeup and S&P, so we really know the industry inside out. When we take on a new project, we understand exactly what makes your customers tick. So we're able to build products that exactly match your requirements and theirs. We don't want to just build a site, we want to build a website that performs, that converts visitors into inquiries as readily as humanly possible. You're not just getting a website, you're getting a marketing machine that does everything that you need it to do to maximize the number of customers coming through your business.
The reason why I joined Team Micro was because of how diverse the client base was. The team's skill set is so wide-ranging, so it's a great opportunity to learn from them, and it's been an amazing opportunity so far.
What I enjoy when working at Team Micro is you come in and the environment is just like perfect. Everyone's got a smile on the face, it's always positive. You never walk in, no one's in a bad mood or anything like that. For some reason you walk in and it's just, you immediately feel better coming into work.
The opportunities I found at being at Team Micro, being here 6 months now. Started off in sales, speaking to just American clients. Just started a new project this week that I've been given. It's completely mine, and it's dealing with a lot of customers. When I say a lot, I mean everyone around the world that's involved with scalp micropigmentation. So it's liaising with everyone within the company, everyone around the world. So it's a great opportunity, and I'm grateful that I've been given it within the short time period that I've been here.
What I love about working at Team Micro is the freedom of the company. It's a really relaxed company. Damien's full of ideas, so it's constantly expanding as well. We'll come in every week and with this sort of new venture in the pipeline. So yeah, it's just the expansion of the business. It's fresh.
I enjoy working at Team Micro because of the team that I work with. I work with a lot of talented people. On top of that, they're also very nice people as well. So it's nice to come into work and feel kind of relaxed and that you can chat with people as well as kind of get work done and make decent progress on the project.
The connection between both of the rooms, like the web design team and the sales team and everybody, because you're all talking all the time and it's really friendly with everyone, you start to obviously develop more skills like the more you talk to people. If I was talking to someone in the web design team, they'll just be like, oh, why don't you incorporate this as an idea? And you start to learn more and more things from different areas of the company. So your skill set is just consistently developing into like what can help the business grow.
The reason I chose to join Team Micro was because I liked the way the company ethos looked. When I came for the interview, I liked the sort of vibe that was in the office. I really got along well with Damien and with Dale. And to be fair, just conversations that I was having with everyone were just really nice. I wasn't nervous, I just was put to ease as soon as I walked through the door. I really kind of enjoyed my time here. I don't think that I'd kind of asked for anything else. It's like a home, second home. I'm looking forward to what my future holds here.
In the next 3 to 5 years, I'll probably see the business growing even more. In the space of probably the past 6 months, it's gone from just 4 of us to 14 of us now. So yeah, I think it'll continue to grow. Where the limit is that, I have no idea. That's the interesting part, I guess.